It was a training flight. The instructor took over the controls. They impacted the ridge. Is anything here? I have no idea. It should be close though. Hey everybody, Syntax77 here. It is mid-April. It's a beautiful day. I got 3 days off. I'm down here in West Virginia, just over the line from Virginia. And we're going to do a little bit of backpacking and hammock camping for the next few days with a little bit of an aviation twist. It's been a while since I've done a scavenger hunt of sorts on this channel. So my main objective for this video, besides hanging out in the woods with a hammock, is to find the remnants of a crash from about 5 years ago that I recently found online. So I got my backpack there with all my gear in it. Yes, finally, because of spring, I am able to bust out my ultralight backpack. I'm not necessarily ultralight. I'm probably over 10 pounds because I do have some warmer weather gear in there, but I pared back a lot. We're going to keep it pretty minimal on this trip and see if we can't find this plane. So let's do it. Oh yeah, that feels a lot better than my big old winter pack that I've been using. Over here is the trailhead. We're at the base of Great North Mountain. I've done several trips along this or on this mountain, but this is the first time that I'll be doing this particular section of trail, so it's all new to me. Plus we're going to be obviously going off trail to see if we can't find the remains of this aircraft. So at the beginning here, I believe it's kind of like almost a fire road, and then we should get into the woods on a regular trail. Got a gate here to keep the traffic out, and I see a sign up ahead here. So we're headed up towards Gerhard Shelter, if I'm pronouncing that right. About 4.4 miles. Then we're going to go beyond that, but within probably a mile to look for the aircraft. I've got 3 days, so my plan is today, it's about 1 o'clock. I drove down from home, so I'm just going to get up there, get situated, and probably on the middle day, day number 2 of 3, we'll go out and look for the plane, then come back to camp, wherever that may be, and hike out the 3rd day, if all goes well. I don't know how that shelter is. I wasn't planning on using it, but it's possible we might hang out around there. Because of my hammock setup, I don't have a sleeping pad, so I wouldn't be able to just sleep right on the floor, not comfortably or warmly, of the shelter. But who knows? We'll play it by ear. We could always camp nearby and use it for shelter. It's beautiful right now. It's like 56 degrees, maybe going on 60, but it is going to swing down at night, but relatively warm still. Say mid 40s, maybe low 40s up top here, which I'm really looking forward to. Allegedly, we might get by without rain for the next 3 days. But if you know my luck, I don't know, I find that hard to believe. There's a slight threat of showers, maybe 30% tomorrow. But I'm really hoping for a dry trip. We'll see. All right. We are leaving the grass road behind, entering the trail. And this begins our ascent It's about 800, 1,000 feet from the parking area to the top of the mountain ridge. And then from there on out, it will be pretty good in terms of elevation changes. I don't see any blue blazes, but this does look like we're still on the trail. This looks like an old logging road right here, actually still. Well, that's because it is. I just blindly followed it. That's good. That might be a record for length of time until a wrong turn. Let's see where we messed up here. Oh, right here. They probably should have double blazed this tree. It looks like maybe they did, but the bark came off. So if it was a double blaze, that would have given me a little heads up. But that's all right. Whew. Tell you what, this pack feels like I'm virtually weightless compared to what I've been doing for the last few months with Big Blue, a giant winter pack. Especially because my last trip, I went with my wife and I brought everything but the kitchen sink. But I was saying in that video, it's nice to do that sometimes because it's kind of training. Then once you get your light 3-season pack on, you just feel like you're flying. That is a clear blue sky. And we're getting up and level with this other mountain ridge over here, which is about the same elevation we're going to. So pretty good indication that we're getting up there. Sun's warming me up. Might even ditch this shirt, but I get a nice cool breeze when I stop. You can see there's actually some remnants of snow in the areas that don't get a full day worth of sun. No melting snow on this trip for me though. There should actually be a spring not terribly far from the shelter as well as the general area of my search. So for that reason I only have about a liter of water with me, plus this half liter on my front here. There's a blue blaze there. Which way does it go? There's one way up there. Well, as long as I head towards that, should be fine. Now we're starting to get into some of that snow that I was seeing from down there. We're getting higher and higher up. It's getting a little more slippery up here because of the snow that's melting. We should be. I'm even thinking that crest might be it. The top of the ridge, because we're pretty close to 2,400 feet. I was actually hanging out, sitting on a stump back there, and another gentleman came by. He was kitted out pretty good, so I figured he was overnighting. And he asked if I was headed towards the water, the spring. I said, yeah. Said he wasn't 100% sure where he was staying yet, but I have a feeling his target is that shelter. He's back behind me now. But if that's the case, we might take a break at the shelter and check it out, but probably let them have that. I'm basically going to base camp on this trip. So I'll set up camp today, go looking for the plane tomorrow, leave camp completely set up, only take essential gear with me. Maybe I can find a spot that's suitable off the trail in the direction of where I'm going to search tomorrow. At least we got plenty of time until sunset, or at least it feels that way. Once you get to camp and start doing chores, time does fly. Actually getting into some grassy little areas here. That's a first. This is a cool little spot. Not bad at all. There's the knife's edge down, or up there. We came down off of it. Now we're onto this grassy spot. Not bad. This weather is awesome. Feels pretty good. The shelter should be real close. I think I'd rather sit there and have a snack. So this should be right over here. Well, not right over here, but within half a mile or less along this ridge. I would imagine it drops down in elevation a little bit just to get out of the elements, and then we'll see what this shelter looks like. Oh, here we go. Look at this thing. Wow, this is beautiful. Jeez, that is a serious fire pit. You can really cook on that. Tuscarora Trail. Pinnacle Shelter, next one, 17 miles. For a pleasant stay, please hang your food, hang your pack, hang other items, avoid attracting rodents, wear shoes in shelter yard. People drop things, some things are sharp. Porcupine alert. Are you seeing square tube marks on pine trees or smelling onions in the forest? It's a porcupine. Wow. We've got a bow saw here. That's amazing. A broom to keep it tidy. Oh, get out of here. Some lighter fluid from God knows when. It's empty. It looks pretty old. Little food hang. Several food hangs. Oh. Tupperware box with some various accoutrements inside. We'll check that out later. Some emergency water, poop trowel. Huh. Pretty cool, man. And this fire pit. It's just crazy. I mean, this is something you would see in a state park, but we are 4.5 miles from the road. It's pretty amazing. Some benches. Oh, and there's a privy. Good Lord, we're practically glamping. Spring, 0.6 miles. That is a rough walk for a spring, for a shelter. Well, there's always got to be a pro and con to everything. They make it work for the water. So 0.6 miles, so that would be a 1.2 mile round trip, and it's downhill to get water, which we're going to have to do. But luckily for me, not anytime real soon. Perhaps I'll make it through the night, but I'll probably venture down there just for fun. You can check out the privy. That is a privy. So, we made it. Do we stay here? Where do we go? I don't know. For now, though, I'm going to have a snack and contemplate that right up here in the shelter. I feel good to sit down and do that much. So here we are. Pretty awesome spot. Should have brought a sleeping pad, I guess, but I didn't. So my option is I could hang a hammock up right nearby, and I do have that other hiker behind me. I don't know where else he'd be going. I have a feeling he's coming here to the shelter. If I hike down 0.6 miles to the spring, it looks like from my topo map it does flatten out. Now that doesn't mean it's good for camping. There might be a bunch of saplings and whatnot, but topo wise it looks like there's a shelf down there. Well, first things first, let's snack it up.
So there's like a detour.
Oh, okay.
There was a trail closure because of a landowner problem.
Oh, really?
And the detour added 7 miles.
Oh, that's a serious
so we
detour.
had 8 miles on the ridge, and then I think it was 12 miles walking on roads across the valley.
Really?
To get to the mountains on this side. So our revised plan is to be at this Pinnacle shelter tomorrow night. It's 17 miles.
So I saw that on the side.
That.
Yeah.
So we may go ahead and push ahead a few
Really?
more miles.
Really, just to get to choose some of that up.
Make it so we can do it in the daylight.
Hope you have a good hike.
All right, we'll have a good one.
All right, you too, man.
Bye.
They were nice. They're actually out for originally eight or 9 days, and I think they're extending it to 10 days because there was a trail closure. They're doing a whole section of Tuscarora Trail. They actually came from Shenandoah National Park, but they're headed on. They're going to knock out another 2 miles to try to get closer to the next shelter, which is 17 point something miles from here. So I do have the place to myself. From what I've read, bumping into somebody on this trail is pretty much a rarity. And from looking at the trail book over here, even people here on the weekends don't run into anybody. So I think that was kind of a rare experience to run into somebody on this section of trail. But I got it to myself now, so I am going to definitely stay here, call it base camp. From looking at the book, it doesn't look great. The reviews over the years of that spring, but today I have enough water I packed in. I'll get through the night. I'll be just fine. So I'm probably going to have my classic Texas State Fair chili from Packet Gourmet. I've shown this 512 times on this channel, but I'll have that for dinner tonight. I got my alcohol stove, but honestly, with this awesome fire grate, I'm thinking tonight I'll collect some more firewood, which, considering the fact that there's a saw here, you would think it would be really wiped out, but there's actually a lot of really good pieces of wood. I'll have some time on my hands this afternoon, so there's a bunch of standing dry wood over here. I think this is a beautiful shelter, but it's just not that used compared to, you know, some other shelters throughout the East Coast that really get hit hard. So put my pot of water right on top and get as much use as I can out of just firewood, and save the alcohol stove for when I really need it, or if I'm lazy, maybe first thing in the morning for coffee and I don't want to spark up a fire and then, you know, leave it while I go to look for the plane. It is 6:23, believe it or not. I hung out with those guys and talked to them. Well, the first guy got here probably an hour before his friend did, and we just hung out and talked, had some snacks, and next thing you know, that sun is working its way down. So I'm gonna get a little firewood and make a fire, and then I have to think about what to do for the hammock. I'm feeling kind of lazy, and there's a decent kind of stiff breeze coming from over there. No threat of rain until tomorrow around 11 a.m. I don't see any obvious ways to hang a hammock in here, and like I said, I really don't think anybody else is coming, so I have no moral objections to hanging a hammock in here. The rafters are sealed, so I can't get a loop, like a hammock strap around that. Maybe run a line through here to this hole and then over to one of these posts. But then it's probably going to slip because there's nothing really to keep it from moving. I'll figure it out. You know, worst case, which is really not worst case, I'll just hang it on a tree like I intended to, but kind of want to hang out in the shelter. It's a beautiful, clean shelter. So take advantage of it. We'll see what we can do. But first things first, firewood and fire. Well, at least the wood is surprisingly dry. Let's get a nice big piece on there, I guess. Why not? Wind is picking up and hiker midnight has arrived. Couldn't tell you what time it is. Well, I guess I could, but doesn't matter. It's dark. Got my chili, got the hammock, as you can see, set up the best I could. Have some dinner and maybe hang out by the fire. The wind out there is pretty intense. Not super intense, but in here it's nice and calm. Get a little shut-eye in the hammock. We'll wake up in the morning and see if we can get a little game plan and go looking for this plane. Good morning, everyone. The sunrise is here. The wind has been insane all night. It's about 6:30 right now. There's a band of rain, precipitation and whatnot coming. So that's probably going to hit around 10. I'm gonna make some breakfast, get fueled up. I'm never hungry in the morning, but I'm gonna make myself eat something, maybe some soup, just to get some calories in me, and then we'll head down and look for this plane, and then hopefully, if and when the rain hits, we can make a retreat. But either way, if it starts raining before I leave, I know it's gonna be real hard for me psychologically to leave this shelter, so I gotta get my butt up and moving and out into the woods.
At 7 miles an hour. Today, mostly cloudy with scattered showers. Highs in the mid-60s. South winds 10 to 15 miles an hour with gusts up to 30 miles an hour. Chance of rain 50%. Tonight, lows in the upper 40s.
There's some fierce wind. It's all coming up this cut where I have to go down. But first things first, breakfast. I'm not messing with a fire because I'm going to be leaving shortly. It would just be too time consuming. So I'm going to use my little bit of alcohol fuel, get a little something going in my refuge from the wind here in the shelter. With a little luck, should have some noodles. That'll get me fueled up. So we gotta get out here. I do believe there is a storm front coming. Little spicy noodle, and I'll grab my pack here, throw a couple snacks in it, some water bottles. So let's hope this spring is good. There are some water bottles that people left here, but I don't know the condition of them and how old they are, and ideally I'll leave that for somebody else in an emergency, which might be me if this spring is not flowing, but we'll find out. We're gonna leave the hammock up, head into the wind. Gonna put the food bag up. Spring. 0.6. I got 2 empty water bottles with me. I'll fill those on the way back up. And that wind has already calmed down just from coming down the ridge here. It's still funneling up a little bit, but it's not quite as intense. But you can definitely tell that something coming. It's a gray day. Somber indeed. Huh. I'll tell you what though. I'm looking at my notes and where I believe the plane is. The trail continues to snake over there. We're about halfway down it towards the spring. From looking at the topography in real life, I can see it's a pretty sharp descent over here to the right side of the trail from my vantage point. I originally planned to go down to the spring and then about 0.2 miles to stay level and up towards the plane, kind of in that bowl. But honestly, looking at my map, it looks like, allegedly, the plane, at least the coordinates provided by the NTSB, is less than 1,000 feet, like 800 feet in this direction and 100 feet down in elevation. Basically down in that bowl, right there. So I'm thinking maybe just start bushwhacking now. Doesn't look super dense. A little dense, but nothing too bad. Now, my friend Frank and I learned this the hard way about a year ago when we went looking for the crash in Cranberry Wilderness. It was a Cessna that was missing for like 5 years and finally found. NTSB report, you can pull that up, it's public knowledge online. But the coordinates they gave were for the impact zone. It's where it first hit the trees, and he was moving at a pretty good speed. So even though we got to those coordinates, we spent a lot of time looking and trying to gauge on the trees, the flight path, and it took us a while to find it, even though we had coordinates from the report. So you never know what you're going to get. The good thing is, in this case, this was a slow-moving impact. So chances are the plane didn't go that far from where it impacted. And that's not a hard set rule. It's not like the coordinates are always an impact zone, and it's not always the crash resting place. From what I can see, there's no real exact science to it. They just put kind of a general idea on the report. I have not seen anything online about anybody else coming to this site. I've seen no photos, no trip reports, nothing like that. It's purely based on the crash report. Is anything here? I have no idea. But it's very rare to remove an aircraft from a remote area like this. A lot of times when they're doing their post-crash report, they will remove different pieces of the plane that may have been in play so they can check them out back at their lab or facilities and whatnot. But there's no way I would say they took this whole plane out of here. It looks like it's in this direction, straight ahead. Well, there's nothing in front of me but a ridge. I didn't get the direction that the aircraft was going. It wasn't indicated in the report. It was a training flight, and it seems that the student failed to turn on the carburetor heater, and that caused icing, which they didn't realize until it was too late, I guess. They started losing airspeed as they were approaching this ridge, and the instructor noticed and said, "You need carburetor heat to de-ice," and he turned it on, according to the student, and that was too late. Student said he looked down, RPMs were like 1800. The instructor then took over the controls, and just after that they impacted the ridge. They just lost engine power partially, so they didn't have enough power to maintain lift, and they were losing altitude as they were going towards this big old mountain. Not a great combo. It was a Cessna 150J, little tricycle looking, you know, 2 wheels in the back, 1 in the front guy. So it's not going to be a real big piece of machinery to look for, but it should be close though. It says we're only 50 feet or so from the NTSB coordinates, and I don't see anything. Right now, I am allegedly right on top of the coordinates given by the crash report, but there's nothing here. I mean, no signs of tree damage, definitely no plane. strange. There should be something, but I got nothing. At least enjoy the view. We're still out in the woods, having a good time, but in that rain, in that wind. 9:55, sure enough, raindrops. So the weatherman was right. NTSB, not quite so sure. I'm gonna make a retreat, get back up to the shelter. Should be about a mile or so from here. Take a look at my maps and my data again and see what we can do. But snack time is over. Oh, shoot, that's right. Still need water. I got a little bit of water. Bottle up at camp. My gut is telling me beeline, no trail, bushwhack in the direction of the shelter. We can wait for a break in the rain and run and get water later. At this point, this is picking up and I don't like it. .47. It is opening up. Let's get out of that. .52 degrees. Oh. I'm actually overheating from going up that hill, especially without a trail. Anyway, here we are now. There's the wind again. For right now, I'm just going to be thankful that I got here right as it really started to open up. I do have to get my food bag to make some lunch. Tuscan beef stew and Italian polenta. Roast beef and vegetables, burgundy wine, bone broth. Now, over in that pot, I actually have some water from last night. I put on the rain jacket. It seems like a light trickle. Maybe dart in and out. Challenge myself, see if I can't get a little fire going in the rain. If it really opens up, I have the stove to use, but I don't know. What else we got to do? I don't want to jinx it, but it's pretty nice out here now. I am hungry, but just gotta have a little patience to let that heat up. Got a little fire going, and fear not, I am not out of wood. There was a big old pile there before, but I actually took it during the rain and I tucked it along the perimeter of the shelter just to keep it underneath of the overhang for the roof, because it was starting to soak up some rain. So I'm probably gonna leave it there. Honestly, it's probably the best place for it for the next person as well, and maybe I'll poke around and see if I can't find some pieces that actually work with that bow saw. But for tonight, I should be fine. Just hope it doesn't rain again. Nothing like real hot food when you're out in the middle of nowhere. We are deep into the afternoon at this point, but it's an empty bottle. Should probably go take care of that. Got a sign here. 2 signs. Spring, spring. And it looks like definitely could have camped down here. But I do appreciate that shelter and that fire pit up there. I've been quite enjoying that. So, let's see. That looks about perfect. Hard to believe it, but this day is winding down, at least in terms of sunlight. And a couple of water treatment tablets there. Let them sit for half an hour on the hike up. Getting gray, but I swear I just felt a drop of something. It's gonna rain again. We better knock it out. That is a heck of a hump. Just to get some water. But got the hammock, maybe listen to an audiobook or my radio, and I'll hit the hay. All right, one more shot. I suppose the important thing to do right now is pack up the hammock, which should be pretty simple. Top quilt there. Shove that in the pack. It's pretty convenient with the pack hangers they have in here. Did just fine into the 40s last night, no problem at all. Didn't even have a pad under my feet. And it's just so nice and easy with this hammock and quilt set up to pack up and roll out. Toss that in. Don't forget the straps, which I ran through the rafters here. Food bag. That's pretty light. Mostly trash at this point. Some water. We're good. All right, on the trail once again. Whew. And this might be the first time in a long time that I've actually had a reason to put on sunglasses. But yeah, the sun is actually out. Imagine that. The game plan for today, we take the same trail that we took to the spring yesterday, and it meets up with a forest road at some point, and then back onto another trail, and it completes the bottom half of this kind of oblong oval loop that we're doing. So about 5 miles today. I am gonna go off trail pretty soon. I'm gonna shoot down the middle, give it one more shot, just go straight through the middle of the general area that I think the aircraft might be. But the fact that that road, forest road, is within under a mile, it's possible that they did salvage this aircraft and take it out. I don't know. There's this thick rhododendron-like mountain laurel area in here, which could easily hide an aircraft. The sun's out a lot more than yesterday, which is great, so we're just going to look for the glint of white. There's got to be pieces, evidence of something. Nuts, bolts, anything. I don't know. I've hit those coordinates several times and the adjacent area, and just no results, and just nothing around here. I don't get it. I don't know if the coordinates are just a little bit off. Maybe it's right over that ridge, but at some point, you know, one ridge after another, you gotta call it. I gotta get home. It's after midday now, and I am not on a real trail. So what I'm doing is making my way down towards the trail. Probably going to be a mile or so of going off trail here. We should intersect. I'm not going up that second ridge. I'm going to hit the bottom of this bowl and then hopefully link up with the trail and ride that out for a few miles or so as I get caught in the sticker bush here. This is proving to be pretty slow going, bushwhacking through here. I hope that we can intersect it before this gets too steep, too grown in. Yeah, this is getting thick. We are truly in the middle of nowhere right now. Looks like a field up here. Huh. One extreme to the other. From the absolute middle of the woods to basically a four-wheel path. This is a lot easier navigation than what I just did. Just follow the ruts for a little bit. Well, now, about to leave Virginia and re-enter West Virginia. This is the line right here. VA that way. West Virginia this way, and I believe we're going right. This Fire Road. Beautiful day. Blue skies. Flat trail. No complaints. Other than I'm completely out of food. Maybe a couple pieces of candy, but I'm just not in the mood for that. Keep my eye on the prize. Cheeseburger action. Well, now that parking lot is a little more busy than when I left. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars here. Might be out doing some fishing, but the Jeep is here and so am I, so we made it. It's about early afternoon, 3-ish o'clock or so. I've worked up a heck of an appetite as usual, so this was a good time. Didn't exactly knock out what I came to do. Maybe some other time I'll have to come back and I'll do a little more research about that. But as another plane flies overhead, I'm gonna call it, nonetheless, mission complete. So I'm taking this pack off, gonna replace some calories. Till next time, I'm Syntax 77, and right now, it's cheeseburger time.